Good afternoon. And on behalf of the family, we are thrilled to have you here today, not for the circumstance, but for the expression of love and support, which means so much to them. I am Pastor Craig Peterson here at Woodland Hills Community Church, and on behalf of our community as well, we are honored to be a part of this sacred celebration. We know that all of us come from a variety of places today, emotionally as well as many other locations. We're still processing the news. So whether you come today with anger or sadness or despair or whatever it is that you bring to this sacred space, as we open our hearts, we pray that this time might bring a bit of healing on our journey. I also want to say, as you can see from the walls and expressions, this is a safe place for all people. We want to see and to celebrate all aspects of who Mars was today, so there will be no editing of his journey, for it is so important that we see and celebrate the wholeness of who he is. So as we prepare our hearts for this journey today, I will invite us into a few moments of silence as we catch our breath, and then I'll open us with words of spoken prayer. Gracious God, we gather today with such mixed hearts, with spirits that are torn apart with so many emotions. We come into this safe space for the sacred duty of lifting up and celebrating a life that was cut far too short, and yet a life that packed so much into the years that Mars was with us. Whether we honor him through laughter, through tears, through anything that we feel, may we turn that over to you in hopes that you might bring a bit of healing and, yes, even an expression of hope in this most difficult time. We ask this in your name, our grounding and our sacred safe space, we pray. Amen. So as we gather today at a time where we feel a sense of disconnection or separation, the family chose as our opening song a wonderful sort of Southern gospel flared song called "Will the Circle Be Unbroken?" And for those who are able to rise in body, I will invite you to do so. It's rousing, and so I hope you'll sing. And if you're not able to rise in body, at least in spirit, the words are both in the bulletin and they will be projected as well. You may be seated, and boy, did you sing well. We can feel the connectedness of the circle this moment. So, realizing that all of us knew different pieces of Mars and his journey, the family today has asked his uncle to share the eulogy, which will give us an overview of this amazing, amazing life. So with that, I will invite him forward.
Mars was a miracle child from day one. He was born on June 22nd, 2006, after years in which his parents, Dorothy and Gray, did not think it would be possible to have a child. He joined his older sister, Amanda, age 2, another miracle child, who taught him everything he needed to know, including how to walk. Mars was never big on sitting still. He always had something in his hands, a fidget spinner or a yo-yo, but the thing he most loved to hold was an animal. Before his own beloved bunnies came into his life, he showered his affection on his aunts and uncles' dogs, who all knew Mars as a trusted friend and companion. His loving, protective nature seemed to draw him to these small, vulnerable creatures. Mars attended elementary school at Woodland Hills Elementary. He played on a soccer team, took hip-hop dance classes, and began his love of music by studying piano. He graduated middle school from Hale Charter Academy, where he attended for 2 years in person and part of his final year online during the COVID pandemic. He made many friends at Hale and was beloved by his teachers. Even though he had learning difficulties, he made up for it with his enthusiasm. In 2021, Mars started in 10th grade at El Camino Real Charter High School after a year of online schooling. He met various challenges, but he made many friends and developed close bonds with many of his teachers. He especially liked history and enjoyed helping his teacher as a TA in class. Most recently, Mars attended Fusion Academy. It was a special place and a sanctuary for him, where his teachers offered one-on-one classes and served as mentors. For the first time, he actually enjoyed going to school and started realizing he had the potential to learn as long as he could do it at his own pace. In summers, Mars would often visit Indianola, Washington to stay with his Aunt Louisa and Uncle Damon. Indianola was a place where Mars was accepted unconditionally, and he left an indelible mark. From the moment he first arrived for one of his extended visits, he quickly established himself as one of the ringleaders of the neighborhood group of kids. He naturally included even those far younger than he, leading them on all manner of adventures. He showed off his trampoline-honed acrobatic skills by backflipping off Indianola's famous dock with great bravado. He established a special bond with his godparents, Dave Smith and Sarah Rico, who took him under their wing. Whenever anyone in Indianola hadn't seen Mars for a while, their house was the first place to check, as he gravitated to their warmth and attention. Mars excelled in music and video editing. After a few guitar lessons, he started picking out and playing Guns N' Roses and Kiss songs by watching YouTube videos. He had a great sense of rhythm, often creating his own unique beats on the drums. He would invite his friends over for jam sessions, often filming the concerts for his YouTube channel. Mars also loved to film and document his life, creating elaborately edited movies with music and special effects. Mars was also a naturally talented dancer. He learned all the latest moves effortlessly and often tried to teach them to his kinetically challenged mom. Mars was an endless font of energy. He collected skateboards and spent hours at the park honing his jumps and moves. He scooted up and down the street, making friends with many of the neighbors and, of course, their dogs. He loved playing basketball and baseball, boogie boarding, skimboarding, and any other activity that involved a lot of motion. He was fanatical about roller coasters and could tell you the names and statistics of all of the rides at Magic Mountain. He dreamed of becoming an engineer and designing roller coasters one day. When told he would need to know math to be an engineer, he put his energies into learning the material. Mars was a nonconformist who marched to the beat of his own drum. He wore what he thought was cool, from his Five Nights at Freddy hat to his beloved Minecraft and puffy camo jackets, even in the middle of the summer, never seeming to care what anyone else thought. With that willingness to buck the crowd came perhaps Mars's greatest talent. He could spot those kids in class that looked like they could use a friend. And then jump in to be that friend. He could see what made them special and unique and help them to see it too. If you were lucky enough to be one of those kids, you were blessed with his goofy sense of humor, his playful sense of adventure, and his fierce loyalty. You could count on Mars to stand up for you if anyone tried to give you any grief. This last week, many have reached out to express how much Mars's friendship meant to their child and how much he helped them to navigate challenging times. That is the legacy he left. This world was not always an easy place for Mars, and sadly, it got harder over time. The journey through middle school and early high school is tricky for everyone, and it was especially challenging for a kid like Mars, who did not always fit the mold. In the last year of his life, he struggled with depression and anxiety. Although he tried to put on a brave face, and those who loved him tried desperately to help him through this difficult period, it proved too much for him to overcome. We wish he could have seen what life had to offer on the other side of these stormy seas, and that the world had proven a gentler and more accepting place for a quirky, tender spirit like his. He left us far too soon, and we will always cherish the memories of his time with us. Thank you.
So I want to be explicit about inviting you into the quirkiness as well. When we were talking about last week's service, I pulled this out. Because it's important to, again, really show up for Mars because he showed up for us. So we're going to pause, move away from words for a moment into music, song, and image as we continue this celebration. And with that, we'll hear the song Mirrors.
Aren't you something to admire? 'Cause you shine on something like a mirror, and I can't help but notice you reflect in this heart of mine. If you ever feel alone and the glare makes me hard to find, just know that I'm always very loud on the other side. 'Cause with your hand in my hand and a pocket full of soap, I can tell you there's no place we couldn't go. Just put your hand on the past, I'll be trying to pull you through. You just gotta be strong. I don't wanna lose you now. I'm looking right at the other half of me. The vacancy that's set in my heart is a space, and now you're home. Show me how to fight for now, and I'll tell you, baby, it was easy coming back into you once I figured it out. You were right here all alone. It's like you're my mirror, my mirror staring back at me. I couldn't get any bigger with anyone else beside of me. And now it's clear as this promise that we're making two reflections into one. 'Cause it's like you're my mirror, my mirror staring back at me, staring back at me. Aren't you something and original? 'Cause it doesn't seem really as simple, and I can't help but stare, 'cause I see true summer in your eyes. Ooh, I can't ever change without you. You reflect me, I love that about you. And if I could, I would look at us all the time. 'Cause with your hand in my hand and a pocket full of soap, I can tell you there's no place we couldn't go. Just put your head on the past, I'll be trying to pull you through. You just gotta be strong. I don't wanna lose you now. I'm looking right at the other half of me. The vacancy that's set in my heart, there's a space. see the set in my heart. There's a space and now you're home. You show me how to fight for now. You show me, baby. I tell you, baby, and it was easy coming back here to you once I figured it out. You were right here all along. It's like you're my mirror. My mirror staring back at me. I couldn't get any bigger with anyone else beside of me. And now it's clear as this promise that we're making two reflections into one. Cause it's like you're my mirror. My mirror staring back at me, staring back at me.
We're going to take about 35 minutes or so and really have what the family wanted to be the heart of the service, which is the remembrances that many of you might raise. Now, I believe there were a few folks in particular that the family wanted to speak first, and then we'll open it up. So with that, I'll start with those from the family and loved one circles who wants to speak. Okay. We're going to begin appropriately with Mom.
Dear friends, thank you for joining us today to celebrate Mars's life. There's so many things I can say about Mars. He was beautiful, caring, creative, energetic, and funny. He was kind to animals and to other kids who needed a friend. Mars loved to play pranks. I remember one time he decided to shave his head. And he came to see me looking for my reaction, saying, "Look, Mom, how do you like my haircut?" I didn't realize that he was filming me at the time, but he captured my horrified reaction on video, and the rest is history. It went viral on TikTok. The first word Mars learned to say was no. As a toddler, the first sentence he put together was, "No, I'm not." And that summed it up. He had to do things his own way, no matter what. Mars liked to stay up late at night, even on school nights. We would have the usual arguments about playing too many video games, eating too much candy, getting up for school on time. But every time he would end it with, "I love you, Mom." At night, I would tiptoe past his bedroom, trying not to wake him up, and I would hear him shout, "I love you, Mom," out of his room. Mars was not patient. Everything had to happen right now. He had to find all his presents and open them before Christmas, and then rewrap them again. Every time a package arrived to the door, he would immediately unwrap it, no matter who it was addressed to. He would run into my room shouting, "Mom, your shoes got here." Mom's bunny Bee was a great comfort to him and a friend. Bee would sense when he was unhappy and would jump up on his bed and would sit with him for hours. There were times when Mars felt like he had no friends, but Bee was always there for him. I don't think Mars realized how many lives he touched. In Mars's last few months, he would ask me to take him to the swings at the beach in Santa Monica or at Shoot Park, and he would swing for hours. He said it made him feel calm. On October 11th, the day before he passed, I took Mars to Shoot Park, and he climbed to the top of the big hill, and he danced for an hour. He said, "I love myself. Look at those blue eyes." He seemed so happy, and he saved that on video, too. His passing came as such a big blow to all of us. How can you be so up one day and so down the next? That was Mars, too. I really feel that Mars did not intend to take his life in this way. I think if Mars could have just stuck it out another year or two, he would have made it through this stormy period. He could have been a sound engineer, a video editor, or a designer of roller coasters, or so many other things. But Mars could not wait. My only consolation is that he is safe now and he is at peace. Rest in peace, Mars. Rest in peace.
I am who I am. I am Mars. That's the only way I can describe my brother. Mars never cared about approval or being normal, and that's something I always envied. Although we fought like hell, we couldn't go for an hour without thinking of each other. Being the older sister to Mars was the best thing that ever happened to me, and losing him, that was the worst. I miss having someone to protect, to nurture, to run to love, hold, and be my forever, my security blanket. And I remember not too long ago teaching him how to walk, talk, swim, express himself, show him his favorite songs, his favorite food, and when he got older, it was how to sneak out. It was how to be popular, how to find himself, and how to navigate through emotions only we could understand. He was the best caretaker. When any of my friends or I needed it, he would walk to the store in 100-degree heat, get tons of snacks, candies, and drinks, and bring them all up a hill with a smile on his face, sweating. He would set up his bed on the floor for anyone that needed it, and be there for anyone from all walks of life. I didn't physically push him out of me, but I pushed him out of my soul. I know I'm not his mom, but I feel like I raised a good part of him, and I made him my mini-me. I showed him his love for rabbits and animals, and his personality traits are very identical to mine. I know I don't have a twin, but he was the closest thing I had, and people sometimes thought we were twins. We went through hell and back with each other, and now you can finally rest in heaven. Not a day goes by where I don't think of you. My brother and I were inseparable. I was his, quote-unquote, mommy Manda, and you were my baby. I tried my hardest to protect you from the cruel world, and it sadly wasn't enough. The cards Mars was dealt were unlucky, to say the least, but Mars fought so hard for so long. Mars means warrior, and he passed fighting an uphill battle, which he fought beautifully and for so much longer than we knew or than he cared to show. Mars put on a brave face for all of us, and he hated us seeing him struggle or showing that he was in pain. He knew how to comfort all of us because the people who are in the most pain always are the best to help others who are struggling. I'm sad you'll never meet my babies. You would have been a best uncle or a dad. I'm sad I'll never meet your babies. Thank you for being my baby. I miss you so much, and I'll never forget the feeling of holding you.
Thank you, Dorothy and Amanda, for those beautiful tributes. Were there other voices before I open it to the group that you wanted? For sure. All right, excellent.
Mars befriended my daughters almost a decade ago. Mars is the reason I have a true friend in his beloved mother, Dorothy. Not all children are fortunate enough to have had the kind of unconditional love and devotion she provided. My admiration for Dorothy and Amanda, Mars's loving sister, has only grown witnessing how they are dealing with the shock and grief of losing Mars to suicide. My father died by suicide 26 years ago, and I remember how much it meant to me that so many people came to his funeral to show their love and respect. And I can feel how much it means to Mars's family that you are all here today. Mars was in so much pain, and now we are all left here, each of us, to bear some small portion of that pain. But because Dorothy is a person of grace and integrity, she implores us to honor Mars's memory by choosing healing over destruction, love over hate. Let's take a moment to feel the love in this room right now. Mars was wise beyond his 16 years, and he left a message to us that he inked in his own flesh. It read, "Be kind to yourself." His death will not have been in vain if it helps us to be kinder to ourselves and others. Self-harm and self-loathing are not what Mars wanted for anyone, including himself. Before Mars succumbed to mental illness, he was a joyous child who was fearless and funny. The backflips he did on our trampoline were spectacular. But Mars was failed by the adults in charge of our broken mental health and educational systems. And I'm angry about that. So if you are too, in honor of Mars, let's channel that righteous anger into tearing down and rebuilding these broken systems. Their foundations must be based on compassion and love, not greed and fear. Our community is strong, and we have the power to heal ourselves and to make the world a better place for our children. So the next time you find yourself in awe of a beautiful sunrise or sunset, enjoy it twice as much, knowing that Mars would have loved it too.
Great, Mars. I just want to take a moment and thank each person, each set of eyes that is here. Oh, thank you all to be here today. I appreciate your presence on this day, and I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart to show up here on this day for Mars. I'm going to take you back to June 22nd, 2006, when I first encountered my Marcy. I was there with you when you were born, and I'll never forget it. As soon as you were born, you stretched out your legs and arms and then pulled them in and looked at me. I saw that you moved very well and that your spirit was strong and your eyes had this intensity I'll never forget. Meeting you for the first time and seeing your first movements and how you took in the world around you gave me such a treat, a powerful presence from day one.
Okay, we have a time for a couple others, and for those who'd like to speak, it can be hard to kind of know exactly what to say. So what I would encourage you to do is, if you're speaking, focus on one or two stories that really captures who he is. So, oh, you're not, okay. Is there, oh, okay. A story forgot, and then we have another.
I'm about to expose Mars here, okay? If anyone here can do it, it's me. I know everything. All right. So Mars and I worked for 6 months to get these rollerblades, correct? 6 months, chores, sweeping decks, washing the concrete outside, okay? Anyways, we got the rollerblades. Big 5, it was a big moment. Mom got the pictures for Facebook, it was a big moment. Now, we get outside the car. If you've ever been in my house, we have a very steep driveway with some nicks in there, right? And now, Mars had to pee really bad, okay? Mom, I gotta go. Mom, please. And you know, she was speeding. All right, I love you, Mom, but she was getting up that mountain. It was not fast enough, because when Mars got outside, he was clinging onto the garage, and he was just about to let go. And as he let go, everywhere, fills the brand new $80 that he spent with his own money, okay? $80 rollerblades. And for a 10-year-old, for an 8-year-old, $80 is a lot of money, okay? That's like, okay, anyways. The shoes start filling. We have to keep him outside and power wash this boy because his jeans are soaked. The rollerblades, forget the rollerblades, okay? No, he never got to use them because the smell in the heat, we tried them one time, okay? And the smell in the heat was just, you'll never forget it, all right? Another time, last story. Sorry. He was standing in the hall of my bedroom. He was standing right in the doorway of my, okay, never mind. Anyways, I love you, Mars. You're very lucky I chose that story. I have so many more.
Between Dorothy and I, we'll keep her on. You'd like to speak as well? Yeah.
So I just want to say, I'm sorry. A lot of people, when they think about Mars, they tend to talk about how he was funny or, cool or, things that are, interesting for them or, benefit them or I guess make their life better. But what I like the most about Mars and in the many years that I've known him that I try to push out of him the most was, and I'm sure you guys all can relate, his spirit when he found something that he really, truly latched his heart into. And I think that a lot of people who saw him at a first glance kind of thought that he was, dumb or something like that. But the reality was, he's one of the smartest kids I ever knew. And on top of that, he had one of the biggest spirits that I ever knew. I feel like he really just had such an energy that can't be matched by any person that we've ever met. And in the years that I knew him, I really encouraged him to take this energy and put it into something productive and try to make something of himself, because I really did believe in him. And I just have to say, he really did his best. He tried his hardest, and a lot of people just looked at him through I guess, a different lens. And the reality is, it's not that he was weird or quirky. It's that most people are, I guess, boring husks compared to this kid. So I just want to say, we all have, I guess, that one. I'm sure every person in this room has that one little, little funny thing that he brought up with you, and you were like, I've never even heard that before. So just hold that close to your heart, and just remember that part of him, guys. Thank you.
We have time for one or two more, and that would be wonderful. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Aunt Louisa, for those of you who don't know me. I was asked to read a poem, and this is a poem I chose by Jan Richardson, and it's called Blessings for the Brokenhearted. Let us agree for now that we will not say the breaking makes us stronger, or that it is better to have this pain than to have done without this love. Let us promise we will not tell ourselves time will heal the wound, when every day our waking opens it anew. Perhaps for now, it could be enough to simply marvel at the mystery of how a heart so broken can go on beating, as if it were made for precisely this. As if it knows the only cure for love is more of it. As if it sees the heart's sole remedy for breaking is to love still. As if it trusts that its own persistent pulse is the rhythm of a blessing we cannot begin to fathom, but will save us nonetheless. Thank you.
And for those who won't be getting a chance today, during the service, there will be a reception immediately following where you're more than welcome to share stories with family and friends. So our last speaker, okay, last two speakers.
So I wrote a poem for Mars. He was literally the cutest, sweetest, most amazing boy I've ever met. So intelligent, so amazing. So let's start. A laugh as contagious as the love you had in your heart. A smile that would stop anybody on the street if you acknowledged them. Eyes that reminded me of the rocky blue sea you were dealing with inside. I close my eyes and I see it all over again. The beautiful boy that would burst into the room and turn heads in the most amazing way. The boy who would dance like nobody was watching him. The boy who was the most gentle animal lover seen to man. The boy who still loved you unconditionally, no matter what you thought of him. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Luca. I stayed with Amanda and Dorothy and Mars for almost 6 months, and no amount of words or combinations of words could ever describe who Mars was, so I'm just going to tell a little story. So I used to stay in the room right next to Mars's, and he somehow would always know when I was sad, and he used to have control of my lights, so he would mess with the lights. I don't know why, but he just would. He would do it at like 2 in the morning. And then I'd go into his room and we'd stay up till like 7 a.m. talking about everything under the sun. And he would take his bunk and he would put it on the floor so I could stay in there with him. And after he passed, I was sitting on the couch and it was 6 a.m. And all I could think about was that I'd want to be in his room and talking to him. And all of a sudden the lights went on and I was like, Mars, you're here. You're here, and I miss you.
Such beautiful remembrances and celebrations. So we're going to continue with a moment to a beloved standard, Wind Beneath My Wings, as we see more impressions of this wonderful life.
It must have been cold there in my shadow. It might have appeared to go unnoticed, but I've got it all here in my heart. I want you to know I know the truth. Of course I know you. I would be nothing without you. Did you ever know that you're my hero? You're everything I wish I could be. I would fly higher than an eagle, for you are the wind beneath my wings. Did I ever tell you you're my hero? You're everything, everything I wish I could be. Oh, and I can fly higher than an eagle, 'cause you are the wind beneath my wings. Oh, the wind beneath my wings. Fly, fly away. You let me fly so high. Thank God for you, the wind beneath my wings.
So, to help us process what it is that we're processing, the family chose two pieces of scripture that they think really have been helpful in negotiating this: the 23rd Psalm and 1 Corinthians 13. Did you have a reader? I didn't want to, if you had one, there we are.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Although I speak in tongues of men and angels, I am just sounding brass and tinkling cymbals without love. Love suffers long, love is kind. Enduring all things, love has no evil in mind. If I had the gift of prophecy and all the knowledge and the faith to move mountains, even if I understand all of the mysteries, if I didn't have love, I'd be nothing. Never looks for love. Love never looks for love. Love's not puffed up or envious or touchy, because it rejoices in the truth, not in iniquity. Love sees like a child sees. As a child, I spoke as a child. I thought and I understood as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things and began to see through the glass darkly. Whereas a child, I saw it face to face. Now I only know it in part, fractions in me, of faith and hope and love. And of these great three, love's the greatest beauty.
So both of the scriptures the family chose for today's service were so beautiful and appropriate, for they can give us a unique insight as we navigate our grief. So let me take a moment and tell you why I believe each of those two can be so helpful. Now, while many of us have heard the 23rd Psalm for years, a psalm by tradition attributed to Israel's greatest king ever, King David, we can think to ourselves, of course, it's easy for a king to talk about finding comfort in God's presence. What would a king know of hardship like that we have faced? Well, in King David's case, it turns out he knew plenty. For this king's journey was not easy. As just a young man, he was selected to replace Israel's first king, Saul, who just so happened to be the father of his soon-to-be best friend, Jonathan. And while David did everything in his powers to smooth things over with Saul, David was seen as a threat. And so a good chunk of his young life, like Mars, David was targeted. And sadly, the tensions he faced led to the death of his very best friend, something many in this room know too well, Jonathan. And if those challenges weren't enough, when King David finally met the love of his life, Bathsheba, and they quickly conceived a son, to make a long story short, David knew the pain of losing a child when he and Bathsheba lost that son. So when you look at all of the backstories behind the 23rd Psalm, they tell us that those words of comfort are not simply cliches or platitudes. No, they are words of comfort born from one who knew the unimaginable pain that you know and feel today. Which takes us to the second passage, 1 Corinthians 13. Now, many of us have got used to hearing those words read at weddings, but the fact is, when they were written by the Apostle Paul, they had nothing whatsoever to do with romantic love. No, that famous chapter was written as a guideline to help those who lived in a diverse community figure out how to negotiate the difference so that they could live in harmony. And the special wisdom of the Apostle Paul, the one who wrote those words, is that at the end of the day, Paul knew what it was that is most important in our lives to sustain us. He knew that while we had been given gifts like faith and hope and love, he knew which of those three would never fail us. He knew, for instance, that while faith can be helpful, that we would all reach moments in our lives when we would have a faith crisis, like some of us have known these past 10 days. And Paul knew that while even hope itself can inspire us at times, that again, each of us would reach a point where things seemed hopeless. So that is why when he made his soaring summary statement, he made it clear which of those was greatest. Which of those things can never be defeated or disappear. And the greatest of those was, I want to hear it louder, what? Love. And the third time for Mars celebration, what was that? Love. So claiming that irreshakable piece of foundation in our lives, I want to close my time with you today by sharing a powerful expression of the love that fits who Mars was and fits his life so well. For just last Saturday, as I was talking with his loved ones planning the service, they kept saying that Mars' life was about going out and saying, "This is who I am. This is me." So I found a clip of one of the 11-year-olds in this church's youth group who did a stunning rendition of that theme, "This is Me," from The Greatest Showman on Earth. And the song is titled simply, "This Is Me." This is sung by a child just a few years younger than Mars, but a child for whom Mars helped pave the way. His life was not in vain. His legacy is in the spirit of this song. And so with that, I will invite Evie and her father in video performance of This Is Me.
I'm not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, 'cause no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us. For we are glorious. When the sharp swords want to cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown 'em out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, oh, 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 oh. Another round of bullets hits my skin. Well, far away, 'cause today I won't let the shame sink in. They're bursting through the barricades and reaching for the sun. We are warriors, yes, that's what we become. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us. For we are glorious. When the sharp swords want to cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown 'em out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. Oh, 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 oh. For we are glorious. When the sharpest words would cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown 'em out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me.
Saying that, and look out, here he comes. So I've been asked by a member of the family if a loved one could sing a final song, and I can't come between that opportunity. So with that, I'll invite our singer forward, and then I'll lift the benediction.
The Father just asked me to sing this, so I feel honored, and I just want to say, although I never met Mars, a friend of mine from the dojo, Dusty, used to teach there, and Mars would come in and watch his children, his two young girls, and he relayed to me today, which I would like to relay to you, how much his two little girls really loved spending their time with Mars. So I'm just going to sing a song Gray just asked me. I built a friend with 3 pieces of plastic and a pen. I made him on the table in the den. I gave him my old cell phone for a head. And we had so much fun together. We thought we'd be friends forever. We had so much fun together. We had so much fun. Then I left for college in September, and we wept, 'cause we can't be together. So I kept a picture to remember my old friend. I came back to find him on the table in the den. Scribbled out in pencil, and he wrote that he just wasn't stable, all alone. But we had so much fun together. Yes, we thought we'd be friends forever. We had so much fun together. Yes, we had so much fun. I built a friend.
So as I lift this words of blessing and sending today, again, I want to reiterate that we have a reception. It'll be in the patio and the fenced patio areas, and the space will be available until 5:30, so we hope that you'll extend your love and support to the family. So whenever I deal with a circumstance where our time together has been prematurely cut short and it's easy to lose sight of perspective, I love this poem called simply The Dash. For it reminds us the defining elements of a life aren't the years at the beginning or end, but what comes between. So receive this poem by Linda Ellis as your words of sending. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke of the following date with tears. But he said, what matters most of all is the dash between the years. For that dash represents all the time he spent alive on earth, and now only those who love them know what that little line was worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love, and how Mars spent his dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things in Mars' memory you would like to change? For you never know how much time is left that still can be rearranged. To be less quick to anger, to show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like, in Mars' memory, we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read with your life's action to rehash, would you Be proud of the things they say about how you lived your dash. Mars lived his magnificently, and today we celebrate and honor that. So go with God's healing touch and blessing, and I hope to see you all, or as many as possible, in the reception. And we'll invite the family to leave first this day. And after they've left, you can leave at your own leisure.